Tom Morello, rock star, activist, guitarist, and rebel poet, is the recipient of the 2013 Ramble Golden Bus Award. Coming from a politically active and academically driven family, it's no surprise that from an early age, Tom had strong beliefs about the world and an inspiring drive to make a difference. His ascent to stardom began through the groundbreaking sounds of Rage Against the Machine, whose honest and incendiary, politically driven lyrics, coupled with Tom's blazing iconic guitar riffs, connected to millions of fans itching to speak out about the class and power struggles of modern times. Reminiscent of the folk movement of the 1960s, Rage Against the Machine mobilized a generation of young activists in a way that shaped both the political and the musical landscape of the 1990s. After Rage disbanded in 2000, Tom continued his work, not only co-founding and touring with Audioslave, but also creating The Night Watchman, a rebel roots music project speaking out on issues of class injustice around the world. He co-founded Axis of Justice, a political group whose declared purpose is to bring together musicians, fans of music, and grassroots political organizations to fight for social justice together. Through Axis of Justice, Tom continues to release podcasts featuring music of all genres that speak out on behalf of the voiceless. In 2006, Tom also co-founded Street Sweeper Social Club, holding nothing back as he continues to rage against the status quo. We are so honored to present Tom with the Golden Bus Award. It was truly one of the thrills of my life to sit down with one of my heroes and talk about the world of music and activism.
Thank you so much for taking the time to hang and talk with me a little bit. You are such an important voice out there in the music world, in the political world. So, musician, activist musician, in your mind, what comes first for you?
Well, I mean, I didn't really choose either one of them. I had a lot of varying interests, but then the guitar kind of chose me, and it felt more like a calling than a choice. So once I was saddled with having to be a musician, it was then felt that it was my responsibility to weave my convictions into my vocation. I really think that's the responsibility that anyone has, is whether you're a carpenter or a student or a veteran, that to not leave your convictions behind in the work that you do. And that's basically just what I've done with my career.
And that has been so apparent, and I don't think there are many examples of musicians out there that so seamlessly weave their political convictions into their art. It's an awesome thing to watch. In addition to the music that you play, you've dedicated yourself to so many different causes over your life. So, a lot of people will look at somebody like you, and the question that comes to mind right off the bat is, what do you get out of it? What keeps you doing this work?
Well, I mean, frankly, I just feel compelled. I mean, I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror or sleep well at night if I wasn't doing that sort of stuff. It's the fact that music is can be a component for successful social justice struggles is a great motivating factor. And one of the things that music can do is it puts wind in the sails of people who are struggling for a better world. It steels the spine of people who are, whether at the barricades or at the picket lines, and it lets you know that there's a universe of people out there that have your back. There's never been successful social movement that hasn't had a great soundtrack. And the social movements of today and of the future that are going to achieve success are going to have a rollicking soundtrack with them as well, I suspect.
Yeah, right on. Was there a moment in your life where you realized that the music that you were making was having an impact on the world?
Well, I mean, it was probably in the early days of Rage Against the Machine where people were drawn to this band that was both musically and politically completely uncompromised and uncompromising. When we formed that band, we didn't anticipate being able to book a gig, let alone make a record or have anyone.
Right.
It seemed like it was pretty far, both musically and politically far to the left, and no one was more surprised than I that it eventually reached a global audience. I think because no one was speaking to or rocking to the the political needs of young people around the globe, and playing it safe is something that a lot of artists do, because you've got a record deal, so you can't say this, you can't say that, and it was a bit in that band, like, we just we could care less.
Well, it was this amazing thing. You began to speak about what you believe and sing about what you believe, and it really connected powerfully to people. And since Rage Against the Machine, you have continued to do so in what I think are some really powerful and exciting ways, both with Street Sweeper Social Club and the Night Watchman. And it seems to me Night Watchman is a folk music project. You've continued to diversify your sound and your approach to music in what I think is a really exciting way. Was that a conscious decision, or did that just kind of roll off you?
Yeah, well, I've always been a fan of heavy music. First I was drawn to metal, and then punk and hardcore hip hop. It was only, it was probably, I guess now, maybe 12 to 15 years ago that I really discovered folk music, and that I think it's as heavy as any music that was ever played with a wall of Marshall Stacks. And whether it's the early Dylan records, or Pete Seeger, or Woody Guthrie, or Johnny Cash even, or the Springsteen's Nebraska record, but those records are as heavy as anything in the Metallica catalog, and the right quiet couplet can be can create the kind of mosh pits in the mind that some bands, like Rage Against the Machine, creates in an arena or a stadium. I've made as many Night Watchman records as I have Rage Against the Machine records.
Yeah, you have.
It's a big and important part of who I am and what I do musically.
That's great, and you really kind of, I think, walk the walk in that belief with your podcasts, from Axis of Justice, which I'm a fan of, in which you will play anything from Utah Phillips to Soundgarden to some nameless advocate for the labor movement back in the 1930s, and it's awesome. It's awesome to listen to, and it's awesome to know that there's a person out there that really believes in that and is walking the walk.
Those bands have a lot more in common. And when I finally saw the thread between them, they're all links in a chain. People who are struggling for a better world and using their vocation. They happen to be musicians, and those are the jams that we play on there. Sometimes we sneak in some booty shaking hip hop, some metal, because we like metal. It's not like a very strict formula,
right?
But it's songs we like generally, but they often have a social justice to them.
Yeah, and and on the Axis of Justice website, you have a page, and it's entitled Activism 101, and on that page, you tell folks that are maybe listening to your example or thinking about the world and wanting to get involved and don't really know how. Your first message to them is, choose a cause that you feel passionate about. Why is it that when people come to you and ask you for advice, you don't try to steer them towards the causes that you care about?
It's not up to me to make up their mind what they want to do, but I do in all of my musical endeavors. I meet young people who remind me of myself when I was growing up in a suburban, small Illinois suburb, and I had ideas about the world and ideas about stuff that was wrong and stuff that was right and stuff I might like to do, and I had no way to plug in and no idea what to do about it. And it was groups like The Clash and Public Enemy that for me helped build a bridge. Like, they were speaking the truth in a way that my high school history teacher might not be, or that's I didn't see reflected back on the evening news. And so it's the website is axisofjustice.net. One of the reasons why we formed the organization was to help the fans of music, progressive musicians, and local grassroots organizations build a movement together. Follow your passions when you do it, because that's the stuff that you're gonna want to get up in the morning and help change the world. It's not up for dudes in bands to tell you what's important to you, or even less so for politicians to tell you what's important to you. You've got to make up your mind to do that. But what you should know is that the sky's the limit. It's up to you to have your hands on the wheel of history and steer it in a direction that you think is the right one.
Man, well, I believe that so much as well, and it's such an honor to get a chance to talk to you, and I'm so thrilled that you agreed to accept our Ramble Award. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to hang out today.
Yeah, well, I'd say thank you very much for this award, which is a great honor. And any award like this, I have to accept on behalf of those who are in the trenches on a daily basis, who may not be rocking nylon string acoustic guitars or Marshall stacks or in rock magazines, but they're the ones who are really changing the world on a daily basis. So this award is for them. Thank you very much.
Right on. Thank you.